This is one fight that the good side must win. Where's Wimpy?
Oh, there he is. Riding in TVWAN, having tons of fun, learning about creatures where only nature features. To the youth of South Africa, we gotta come up with a better plan to protect our nature, because if we don't, who else can? We wanna see poaching no more, and there shall be animals galore.
Hello and thanks for joining us for the midday news. Prime Minister James Marapa has called on citizens not to ask for personal favors from political leaders. Instead, they must support initiatives that their local government leaders are putting in place for the betterment of everyone. His comments follow the opening of the newly completed Golpu House at Mumeng Station on Thursday in Marapa Province.
Ask not what the district and province can do for you, but what you can do for it. These remarks were made by Prime Minister James Marapa at Mumeng Station at the opening of the new Bulolo district headquarters, the Golpu House, as well as the Jineg Market and launching of the district's 5-year development plan 2023 to 2027. Prime Minister Marapa says most often leaders are being put under immense pressure by demands from people. These personal demands do not benefit the district or province in any way.
What your country or district can do for you, but you yourself must contribute so that this plan can kind of take you to 27 and you live a better life and we live a better PNG. Is that okay?
Marapa told the people of Bulolo that their late leader, Sam Basil Sr., was one who did not wait for government handouts, but rather did things on his own to develop his district. The Prime Minister says under the Marapa Rosso government, 100 million kina is being allocated to districts. He challenged leaders and their administrations to utilize these funds well.
I think about member, the brother for me, honorable, people of my member of 2007. You know how much people like in the entire 5 years? For my district in Tari, I received about 24 million kina in the entire 5 years. But the need in Tari was bigger than 24 million kina. However, that was the size of the envelope available. Today, well, we are working to grow the economy. What we got to contribute towards growing the economy. Papua Energy will grow the economy. And other work, when we come to this Fabian or Dr. Lobby. But we realize that whatever we must do, we must empower districts to take charge of their district, empower provinces to take charge of their province, and national government just come and oversight with the national projects that we will do, including the bigger highways, bigger hospitals, bigger testing institutions. In a context, we must start allocating more money for the districts.
Freddie Mo, TVWAN News.
The Women in Leadership Retreat, officially opened yesterday, is a transformative gathering uniting influential women leaders from across the nation to foster unity, cooperation and strategic initiatives. Hosted by the Joint Parliamentary Women's Caucus, the meet comprises members of PNG's National Parliament and Bougainville House of Representatives. It is supported by United Nations Development Programme. The primary objective is to advocate for gender equality, women's employment, women's political participation, and the eradication of gender-based violence. Former PNG politician Dame Carol Kidu said the best way of looking at gender equality is to implement gender relationship based on principles of equality. In partnership with Swire and Steamships, IEA College of TAFE will be the first vocational institute in the country to implement the Taiku College Scholarship. TAFE manager Dr. William Pedley said this initiative is a testament to IEA's dedication to fostering academic excellence and facilitating growth in the community. Dr. Pedley said the main objective of taking on board this scholarship is to develop PNG youths and encourage them to secure a job in the best company in PNG. He said this scholarship is the best way to develop excellence in vocational training to get the top quality companies.
I think that's probably the best way to develop excellence in vocational training, to get top quality companies like Swire and Steamships involved directly in the process of training and educating vocational students so that they can take these middle and higher jobs within the companies. And I'm hoping very much that this is a first step. I'm looking to other leading companies who also have an equal commitment and engagement with PNG to do the same, because I think it's a very sensible and reliable way of recruiting good quality students into their organizations.
In regional news, Anthony Albanese has flown to the tiny low-lying Pacific island of Aitutaki in the Cook Islands for a key meeting with regional leaders. The Pacific nations want Australia to lift its game on climate change, and the Prime Minister is flagging he'll deliver more money to help the islands deal with climate impacts.
A Pacific welcome to a paradise not yet lost.
The beauty that surrounds us, we want to make sure that that beauty is transferred to the next generation and it's not underwater.
Pacific leaders landing today on the low-lying island of Aitutaki, threatened by rising seas. The Pacific wants Anthony Albanese to speed up the nation's transition to clean energy. Some are unhappy Australia's expanding coal and gas, while these islands face accelerating climate change. But most don't want to single out Australia.
It's not on Australia, it's every first world country in the world needs to do more for climate change.
Australia also gets credit for ramping up development assistance in the Pacific, and now the Prime Minister's poised to plough more money into regional and global funds to help Pacific nations deal with the impacts of climate change.
It's been extremely positive, the reception that Australia has received here. There's a recognition that my government is committed to climate action.
Climate change isn't the only difficult terrain for Mr Albanese at this meeting. He's also going to have to explain to Pacific politicians why Australia wants to get nuclear-powered submarines. Some in the region are relaxed about this, but other leaders are uneasy and say the region may need to revisit the landmark Rarotonga Treaty signed on this very island that's meant to keep the Pacific a nuclear-free zone. Australia is not enthusiastic about that idea.
We support the Treaty of Rarotonga. It is a good document, it has stood the test of time.
Sometimes diplomacy is about what you don't say.
South Australian teachers and their supporters have protested in Adelaide during ongoing talks with the state government over a new pay and conditions deal. The move has forced hundreds of schools across South Australia to close or offer modified learning.
Well, this is the scene outside South Australian State Parliament. Thousands of teachers and their supporters gathering to protest over negotiations for a new pay and conditions deal. They met outside the Education Department building in the heart of Adelaide before marching down King William Street, bringing traffic to a standstill. Now, this is the second such strike in little more than 2 months amid this negotiation between the South Australian State Government and the Education Union here in South Australia. The latest deal has been rejected by the union executive. It would have seen teachers and public school educators receive a 4% pay rise in the first year of the new deal, 3% in the second, and then 2.5% in the final year. There was also an offer and certain conditions within this latest deal to reduce workload for teachers, because that has been identified as a major issue and a major sticking point in the talks between the union and the South Australian government. This has had an impact, though, of course, across South Australia. More than 400 schools have been impacted by today's action. Just over 170 have been forced to close entirely. The rest have been forced onto a modified program.
What's best for public education in the long term?
The action also happens in the middle of Year 12 exams here in South Australia, with 2 taking place today, but all sides of this debate say that the action is going to have little to no impact on the exams which are happening today. So this is what we've been speaking to people throughout the process today, throughout the protest, to hear why they have taken this action. Let's take a listen to them now.
We do not have the right amount of funding to meet the needs of all of the students that belong in public education.
They deserve the best education and the best educators.
Union! Union!
After having 3 offers knocked back by the AEU, the state government says it is still happy to negotiate with the union over the deal, but it argues it's yet to see a counter-offer to what it has put on the table.
There's been a sharp rise in the number of ads for a flatmate. More homeowners are renting out their space rooms to help manage rising mortgage costs. Despite this, there are still many parts of the country where finding a place to live is becoming more difficult.
University student James Clonis is facing a rent hike of nearly $200 a week.
My hope is to find a roommate, because you get more rooms with a roommate and slightly cheaper with a roommate.
Data from a popular listings website shows that more people are looking for a share house compared to a year ago. The number of rooms being advertised is also up by 38%. Half of those are being listed by homeowners.
We definitely think this increase in landlords renting out their rooms is a response to the rate rises that have happened throughout the year.
Urban planning expert Liam Davies says that migration is putting extra pressures on the property market, with national vacancy rates at a record low.
We really need a plan that tackles how we're going to house our population today, in 5 years, and in 10 years.
The lecturer feels sorry for the next generation.
I see a lot of my students now simply can't afford share houses like I could when I was much younger. They're living at home for much longer.
Students and travellers and young professionals are still the biggest group that are going into share houses, but interestingly, the data also shows that more people between the ages of 40 and 65 are also looking for a flatmate. Finding a home could become harder during the peak summer months for people like James.
I've had friends that have lived in share houses and have had positive experiences.
An experience that many more Australians are considering.
In sports, Netball PNG President Ulato Ave on Thursday unveiled the Peppers team on the 17th Pacific Games campaign. The team comprises exciting players, most of whom starred in the recent Singapore Mixed Nations Cup, where PNG displayed great performance to finish second. The Peppers are expected to go one step better in the Pacific Games. Ave urged Papua New Guineans and netball fans to get behind the PNG Peppers and support them in the cause as they give their best shot in representing the country once again. The completion of the captain's photo shoot of the newly renovated Ballymore Stadium signifies an array of culture and unity that the Pacific represents as the much-anticipated annual Oceania Rugby Sevens tournament kicks off today in Brisbane. Oceania Rugby President Richard Sapias highlighted the importance of culture and its impact of rugby as teams vie for the top spot to France. The tournament offers teams a platform to showcase their individual talent whilst representing the nation they love. It is rewarding to see the teams like Kiribati, Tuvalu, Niue, Solomon Islands and American Samoa being represented in the Oceania Sevens. 66 matches will be played across 3 days of the competition. Host country Australia men's 7th captain Nick Malov is excited to take the field with some of the best in the Pacific today. With the HSBC SVNS series starting in a couple of weeks, this will be a final headout for participating teams. That's all for now. Do join us this evening at 6 for the main news. Bye now.